Some of you have spent years trying to please people who only take pleasure in your pain. You've mistaken being nice for being naive. You've allowed emotional manipulators to feed off your kindness, and now you're empty. But hear me clearly today. You were not created to be drained by people who refuse to change. There comes a time when your peace is more important than their approval. It's time to stop being nice to the narcissist and start protecting the power inside you. You can love people and still set boundaries. You can forgive them and still walk away. You can be kind without becoming a doormat. There comes a moment in life when you finally open your eyes and see the truth, not the illusion that people sold you, but the reality that's been right in front of you all along. When you start to recognize the pattern of control, something powerful happens inside you. It's like stepping out of a fog that's been choking your vision. You begin to realize that the person you thought cared for you was never protecting you. They were managing you. Every compliment was calculated. Every apology was rehearsed. Every kind gesture was a setup to make you dependent on their approval. A narcissist never gives without expecting something in return. They give attention only to take control. They make you feel special just long enough to make you loyal to their manipulation. One moment they praise you like you're irreplaceable, and the next they tear you down until you're desperate to earn their validation again. They don't argue to reach understanding. They argue to dominate. They don't love you to grow. They love you to own. That's the pattern. That's the silent trap. You see, they thrive on confusion. They'll say one thing and do another, and when you point it out, they'll make you feel crazy for noticing. They twist facts, they rewrite stories, and they make you question your memory. That's called gaslighting, a strategy to keep you doubting your own reality. Because as long as you doubt yourself, they can control you. It's not love, it's manipulation dressed as affection. Imagine you're a light bulb, radiant, full of potential, glowing with purpose. The narcissist is the dimmer switch. Every time you shine too brightly, they turn your light down, not because they hate your light, but because they can't stand not being the source of it. So they make you believe you're too loud, too emotional, too demanding, too much. And slowly, you start dimming yourself just to be accepted. You silence your truth, you shrink your dreams, you apologize for existing. Until one day, you wake up and realize you're living in a room where the only light allowed is theirs. That's when you have to stop and ask, why am I allowing someone else to control my brightness? Because no one can keep you small unless you agree to stay small. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to stop explaining your pain to people who caused it. Stop expecting the person who broke you to fix you. When you start recognizing the pattern of control, you begin to take back your authority over your own peace. Think about this. Have you ever noticed how a narcissist apologizes? They don't say, I'm sorry I hurt you. They say, I'm sorry you feel hurt. They shift responsibility from their actions to your emotions. That's not remorse. That's manipulation in disguise. They don't want reconciliation. They want control over how you perceive them. In daily life, it can show up in subtle ways. Your boss who praises your hard work but takes credit for it. Your partner who says you're lucky to have them while reminding you of your flaws. That friend who always needs help but vanishes when you need support. These are not coincidences, they're control mechanisms. The narcissist feeds on emotional imbalance. They need you uncertain, anxious, and seeking their validation. But once you learn to recognize the pattern, you stop dancing to their rhythm. You stop answering every message out of fear. You stop over-explaining yourself. You start choosing peace over pleasing. You begin to notice the moment someone uses guilt to control you, and you no longer take the bait. You stop letting every criticism enter your spirit. You stop giving your emotional energy to people who only use it as fuel for their ego. Control is not love. Real love liberates. It allows you to breathe, to grow, to express without fear. But manipulation suffocates. It drains your creativity. It steals your self-trust. It kills your spirit slowly. The greatest freedom is not walking away from a toxic person. It's walking back into your own strength. It's like being in a storm. At first, you think the lightning is beautiful until you realize it's burning everything around you. You can't control the storm, but you can choose to leave the field before it strikes again. You must stop waiting for people to change when their only goal is to keep you dependent on their chaos. Once you see the pattern, don't close your eyes again. Don't justify it as, that's just how they are. Don't make excuses for disrespect. Every time you do, you give permission for pain to repeat itself. The same manipulation will come back wearing a new smile, and the same apology will come wrapped in new words, until you say, enough. Recognizing the pattern doesn't make you bitter, it makes you aware. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. You'll start to notice how your body reacts when you're around certain people. Your heart races, your stomach tightens, your peace disappears. That's your intuition warning you that something is off. Don't ignore it anymore. Pay attention to the tension, because your emotions are messengers. They're not lying to you, They're trying to protect you. Once you understand how a narcissist operates, you no longer fear their tactics. You'll see through the charm, the victim stories, the guilt trips. You'll see that every act of manipulation is just a reflection of their own insecurity. And instead of reacting, you'll stay calm. You'll smile and say nothing, because silence, when used with wisdom, is a language of power they can't control. And here's the truth. You don't defeat a narcissist by fighting them. You defeat them by starving their need for attention. You take away their stage. You refuse to play their game. You no longer dance to their drama. You simply walk away, not because you hate them, but because you love yourself enough to stop handing them your peace. Recognizing the pattern of control is like discovering the map back to yourself every time you say no. When you used to say yes, every time you choose calm over chaos, every time you protect your energy, instead of explaining your boundaries, you reclaim another piece of your freedom. It's not an overnight change, but it's the start of a powerful transformation that will lead you back to your strength, your clarity, and your voice. There comes a time when you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, who am I when I'm not trying to please anyone? Because being around a narcissist makes you forget the sound of your own voice. They drain your confidence drop by drop until you don't recognize the person staring back at you. You begin to doubt your own worth, your ideas, your dreams. You start believing that you're not enough unless they approve of you. But listen, the truth is, you were enough before they ever came into your life. You were valuable before anyone tried to convince you otherwise. Somewhere along the way, you handed over the keys to your identity, thinking love meant losing yourself. But love is not losing. Love should not cost you your self-respect. A narcissist wants you to forget your strength. They make you question your reality, twist your words, and force you to defend what you know is true. It's a slow erosion of your confidence. They'll say things like, you're too sensitive when you express your feelings, or you're overreacting when you're hurt by their disrespect. You start wondering if you really are too emotional, too dramatic, too difficult. But here's the truth, you're not too much. They're just too unwilling to take responsibility. They use your empathy as a leash. They know you'll try to understand them, and they use that against you. That's how you lose pieces of yourself. One apology, one compromise, one silent moment at a time. Reclaiming your identity means taking those pieces back. It means saying, I remember who I was before you tried to make me small. It means remembering the dreams you buried because someone made you feel they were impossible. It means recognizing that your voice matters, even if they tried to silence it. You start to realize that your value doesn't come from being liked, it comes from being true to yourself. You stop chasing validation and start valuing peace. You stop trying to prove your goodness to people who profit from your guilt. Think about it. When you were a child, you had dreams that made your eyes light up. You believed you could do anything. But somewhere along the line, someone told you, be realistic. Don't aim too high. You'll never be that successful. And you believed them. That's how manipulation starts. By convincing you that your wings are too heavy to fly. But you were never meant to crawl. You were meant to soar. You just forgot. Reclaiming your identity is not just about breaking free from a person. It's about breaking free from the version of yourself that accepted less. You start asking different questions. Instead of, why don't they love me? You ask, why do I need their love to feel whole? Instead of, what's wrong with me? You ask, why am I letting someone convince me something's wrong? That shift, that moment of awareness is the beginning of power. Because when you stop defining yourself through the lens of others, you finally see your reflection clearly. In daily life, it might mean saying no to the people who only call when they need something. It might mean ending the conversation when someone tries to guilt you for setting boundaries. It might mean walking away from the relationship that looks beautiful on the outside, but empties you on the inside. Every time you choose yourself, you rebuild your identity. You take back what manipulation tried to erase. When you reclaim your identity, you begin to see how much energy you wasted trying to convince someone to see your value. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop lowering your volume to make others comfortable with your greatness. You realize that some people never respected you. They only respected your silence, but your silence is over. You've spent enough time dimming your light just to fit into spaces that were never built for your brilliance. And here's something powerful. The moment you reclaim your identity, people will notice. Some will admire your strength, but others will resent your awakening because your growth exposes their stagnation. The narcissist will try to pull you back with guilt. They'll say, you've changed. And you'll smile and say, I was supposed to. Because growth looks like rebellion to those who benefited from your weakness. When you start loving yourself again, you stop being easy to manipulate. When you know who you are, no one can sell you lies about your worth. You'll stop letting their opinions define your mood. You'll stop feeling guilty for needing space. You'll stop apologizing for choosing peace. You'll wake up one day and realize that the same voice that used to tremble when you spoke your truth now speaks with power and calm. That's identity, not arrogance, not ego, but alignment with who you really are. Reclaiming your identity doesn't mean you stop being kind. It means you stop being controlled. It means you stop confusing being selfless with being self-sacrificing. It means you start understanding that peace is not earned through suffering. It's created through boundaries. You begin to notice that the more you honor yourself, the more life begins to honor you back. You'll start walking differently, not with pride, but with purpose. You'll begin to surround yourself with people who see your light and don't feel threatened by it. You'll realize that love is not supposed to make you anxious. It's supposed to make you grow. That friendship is not supposed to drain you. It's supposed to inspire you. That leadership is not about control. It's about influence born out of integrity. When you reclaim your identity, you don't just rediscover who you are, you remember who you were always meant to be. The version of you that was confident before fear entered, strong before manipulation began, and joyful before someone taught you to hide your laughter. That version of you still exists. It's waiting for you to stop chasing approval and start living in truth. It's waiting for you to stop shrinking for love and start expanding in purpose. It's waiting for you to rise, not because someone gave you permission, but because you finally decided you don't need it anymore. For too long, people have confused kindness with weakness. They think being kind means you have to let everyone walk over you, tolerate every insult, and accept every mistreatment in silence. They've told you that a good person must always smile, always forgive, and never fight back. But that's not kindness, that's conditioning. True kindness has never meant allowing yourself to be disrespected. Real kindness begins when you learn how to treat yourself with the same compassion you give to everyone else. Because if your kindness costs you your peace, your energy, and your self-respect, it's not kindness anymore. It's self-abandonment. Every day, people drain themselves trying to be nice. You say yes when everything inside you screams no. You agree to things that hurt you because you don't want to upset someone else. You keep quiet when you should speak up because you're afraid of being called difficult or rude. You keep showing up for people who never show up for you. And you call that love, but deep down you know it's exhaustion. You wake up every morning tired, not because you worked hard, but because you carried too many people on your back who never planned to walk beside you. Think about how often you've ignored your instincts for the sake of being polite. How many times have you let someone disrespect you because you didn't want to cause drama? How many nights have you cried in silence, wiping your tears, telling yourself it's okay when it wasn't? You've been trained to believe that keeping the peace means keeping quiet. But peace is not silence, it's truth spoken with love and courage. There's a difference between being kind and being a people pleaser. A kind person gives from a place of strength. A people pleaser gives from a place of fear. The kind person says, I want to help, while the people pleaser says, I don't want them to hate me. The motivation is different. One comes from love, the other comes from insecurity. That's why redefining kindness is so important. Because until you understand that setting boundaries is an act of kindness to yourself, you'll keep mistaking self-destruction for generosity. Picture this, you're in an airplane and the safety instruction says, put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. Why? Because if you can't breathe, you can't help anyone else. But in life, you've been trying to give oxygen to everyone while you're suffocating. You're running on empty, still trying to fill others. That's not kindness, that's slow suicide. Real kindness means knowing when to stop giving what's killing you. There's a story of a woman who always helped everyone around her, her friends, her family, her coworkers. Everyone came to her for advice, for money, for emotional support. She never said no. She believed it was her job to be there for everyone. But one day she broke down. She was exhausted, anxious, and depressed. No one noticed. No one came to check on her. And when she finally stopped answering calls, people called her selfish. But she wasn't selfish. She was empty. That's what happens when kindness becomes a burden instead of a blessing. Being kind doesn't mean you have to stay in spaces that dishonor you. You can forgive someone and still block their access to you. You can wish someone well and still walk away. You can pray for their peace while protecting yours. You can love deeply without allowing manipulation to continue. Boundaries don't make you cold, they make you clear. And clarity is one of the highest forms of kindness because it tells the world how to treat you. Think about this. When you start saying no to things that don't serve you, you're not rejecting people, you're respecting your purpose. When you choose peace over pleasing, you're not becoming hard, you're becoming whole. When you stop explaining your boundaries, you're not being arrogant, you're being aligned. The world needs people who are kind but firm, loving but wise, gentle but grounded. Because kindness without wisdom becomes manipulation. People will take advantage of your goodness if you don't protect it. Some people don't want your kindness, they want your submission, they want you to stay quiet so they can stay comfortable. But there comes a time when your soul says, enough. You cannot keep watering dead plants and calling it growth. Redefining kindness means you start showing compassion without compromising your character. It means you stop saying sorry for having standards. It means you stop feeling guilty for saying no. It means you understand that your time, your energy, your love, these are sacred currencies and not everyone deserves them. You can't keep spending your soul on people who only bring you pain. In daily life, it might look like saying no to that call that drains you. It might mean leaving that relationship that keeps you small. It might mean walking away from a job where your kindness is used but never valued. It might mean speaking truth in a room where silence is expected. Because kindness is not about keeping others comfortable. It's about keeping yourself aligned with what's right. Some people will call you mean when you stop tolerating disrespect. They'll say you've changed. But the truth is, you're just done playing the role they wrote for you. You finally realize that kindness doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. You've finally learned that your peace is sacred ground, and not everyone is allowed to walk on it. When you redefine kindness, you start attracting people who respect your boundaries, not those who test them. You begin to walk with confidence, not fear. You begin to speak your truth, not suppress it. You begin to love yourself enough to protect your spirit from those who feed on it. And you start living from a place of balance, where kindness is not your weakness, but your greatest strength, guided by wisdom and guarded by peace. Protecting your peace is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect you will ever practice. It's the invisible shield that guards your purpose, your clarity, and your sanity. You can't walk into the next chapter of your life carrying the noise of people who never wanted to see you free. There comes a point where you realize peace is not something you ask for, it's something you decide to create. You stop waiting for people to stop hurting you, and you start removing your access from those who refuse to grow. You stop explaining why you need space. You stop justifying your boundaries. You simply understand that peace is not about being distant. It's about being discerning. Every day, life gives you 1,000 chances to lose your peace through arguments, disappointments, broken promises, and unkind words. But the truth is, you can't control how people act, only how you respond. Protecting your peace means learning how to master your reactions. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not every battle deserves your sword. Some fights are designed to distract you from your purpose, to drain your spirit until you forget your mission. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes silence is louder than any response. There are people who will misunderstand your peace as arrogance because your calm exposes their chaos. They will say you've changed, that you think you're better than them. But that's not pride, that's healing. You're no longer addicted to drama. You're no longer drawn to confusion. You're simply tired of exchanging your joy for other people's dysfunction. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you've become cold. It means you've learned the value of your energy. You've learned that peace is a currency you cannot afford to spend carelessly. Think about how much time we waste replaying conversations in our minds, trying to prove our point to people who already made up their minds. You go to bed angry, wake up heavy, spend your day overthinking what you could have said differently. But what did it change? Nothing. Protecting your peace means you stop participating in cycles that lead nowhere. You stop reopening wounds just to explain why you're bleeding. You start valuing silence more than validation. You begin to understand that peace is not found in fixing others. It's found in freeing yourself. Imagine your mind as a home. Every thought is a visitor. Some bring joy, some bring stress. Protecting your peace means you become the doorkeeper of your mind. You decide who gets to come in and stay. Not every thought deserves a seat at your table. Not every opinion deserves your attention. If a thought doesn't build you, bless you, or bring you closer to purpose, it has no business living rent-free in your head. You have to guard your inner space like it's sacred, because it is. In daily life, protecting your peace might look simple, but it's powerful. It's choosing not to respond to a disrespectful message. It's walking away from a conversation that's going nowhere. It's saying no to that gathering that drains your spirit. It's turning off your phone for a few hours so your mind can breathe. It's realizing that not everyone who demands your attention deserves it. The more you protect your peace, the more your mind becomes fertile ground for ideas, clarity, and growth. Sometimes protecting your peace means letting go of people you love deeply, and that's hard. You keep telling yourself maybe they'll change, maybe they'll see your worth, maybe they'll stop hurting you. But peace doesn't grow in a garden of chaos. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. You can still love them, but from a distance where your heart can breathe again. You can forgive without reopening the door. You can wish them well without wishing them back. There's a saying that peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of clarity. That means even when life throws storms your way, you can still stand firm because you're no longer reacting from fear. You're responding from wisdom. Protecting your peace is not about avoiding challenges. It's about choosing how you face them. It's about refusing to let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. It's about keeping your heart calm even when your surroundings are not. You'll start noticing that once you prioritize your peace, your whole energy changes. You'll stop rushing. You'll stop explaining yourself to everyone. You'll start enjoying your own company. You'll find joy in quiet mornings, in deep breaths, in doing things that make your soul smile. You'll realize that peace was never in the noise. It was always in the stillness. When you protect your peace, you stop trying to control outcomes. You stop trying to fix every misunderstanding. You stop chasing closure from people who benefit from your confusion. You stop measuring your value by how others treat you because your peace no longer depends on external approval. It lives within you. You become unshakable. You start to glow differently, not because life is perfect, but because you've learned that no matter what happens, you refuse to let chaos lie rent free in your heart. There's nothing weak about protecting your peace. It's one of the strongest things you can do. It takes strength to walk away instead of arguing. It takes discipline to stay calm instead of clapping back. It takes courage to choose rest over revenge. It takes wisdom to understand that not every reaction deserves your attention. When you master that, you rise above the noise. You stop being controlled by emotions and you start being guided by purpose. Peace is not a luxury, it's your lifeline. Without it, you lose focus, you lose creativity, you lose joy. But with it, you gain perspective, strength, and clarity. That's why you must protect it at all costs. Because once you lose your peace, even success feels heavy. Once you lose your peace, even love feels like pressure. But when you protect it, even in the middle of storms, you can smile because your soul knows no matter what's happening around you, what's inside you remains calm, strong, and untouchable. You don't need to be nice to a narcissist to prove you're good. You need to be wise enough to protect the good inside you. Stop negotiating your value with people who never paid attention to it. Stop lowering your standards for people who never planned to meet them. You are not too much. They were just too small to handle your light. So detach, heal, grow, and never again apologize for protecting your peace. Your kindness is powerful, but your boundaries make it unstoppable.